Hello, good evening, and welcome to Telling Tales. Here we tell atmospheric stories together through the medium of tabletop role-playing games. It's Monday night, which means that we are playing Vaesen, Mythic Britain, and Ireland. This is episode 4 of the 4th arc, and we're having fun. Before we start, though, other promo stuff. So below the video, links to our YouTube if you're watching on Twitch, or Twitch if you're watching on YouTube, our social media, our Discord, which you should join and come and chat with us, and it's the best place to get updates for things that are going on, and also our Patreon. So if you like what we do on the channel, you can support us there and receive things in return. Other things that we do on the channel, on Wednesday nights, we have Simba Room, which I believe is on this week. Thursday night, I think the final part of Cincinnati Chronicles is going ahead, which is Matt's system-spanning World of Darkness game. And we also do a one-shot or 2 one-shots a month on weekend days with different systems, different players, different GMs. But for details on all of this, get us on the social media, or especially on the Discord. We have an events tab. It's very helpful. You can see when everything is going to happen, and get updates through there. Okay, let's bring on Justin, who plays Gale Moslem Forcemark. And Justin, could you please give us a quick rundown of this world that we are creating together?
Cool. So we are playing as investigators of Vaesen, mythological creatures in Victorian type Britain. Recently, going back, we've fought all kinds of monsters and bargained with them and entertained them and all the rest of it. And we're currently residing in our residence in London, where we're dealing with the fact our bosses have passed on, perhaps, and we might be all alone. There's a werewolf stalking us who may be no longer stalking us and just knocking on the door and saying hello. There have been repercussions of investigation into a strange creature associated with people's deaths, where maybe one of our people in our backstories was involved in this spiritus being acquired by an NPC. And one of our beloved friends of Sam, who's not playing tonight, Sam's character, has also been arrested for some kind of arms trafficking thing. So we're going to try and sort that out, because surely this known criminal could not be guilty of a crime. I'm playing Gale Moslem Forcemark, a kind of middle-class twit who likes photography and railways. And that's definitely a character that is an investigator in a action story. So that's kind of where we are.
Great. Thanks, Justin. Next, let's bring... and as you mentioned, Sam sadly isn't playing with us this evening, but Inga is back, having not played with us last week. So let's bring on Inga, please, who plays Constance. Hey, Inga.
Hiya.
Give us a quick rundown on Constance.
Yeah, Constance is a somewhat evangelical nun who is not super keen on all of these Vaesen. She sees very much the society as being like her kind of. We've all been brought together for some greater holy purpose to sort out these Vaesen creatures for the benefit of the world, which is maybe a bit of a frictionful worldview with many people, but yeah, that's Constance. Yeah,
cool, thank you. Let's bring on Steve, who plays Henry Bonneville. Hey, Steve.
Hi there.
Quick recap on Henry for us, please.
Henry. So Henry is a private investigator, sort of fell in with this general crowd, having essentially bumped into a werewolf some time ago, and ever since has had the feeling he's been stalked or hunted.
Bumped into pretty literally, I believe.
Yes, scars, torn clothes. Wasn't killed, which was nice. But yes, there are some unresolved issues that might well come out this evening. We'll see. Yes, so having got the site from that, I've been tacking along with this motley bunch and trying to steer a path between extremes. Maybe, I don't know. Trying not to blow everything up, or trying to find the truth. Essentially, that's my
trying
drive.
to not blow everything up, but also not blow anything up.
Yes,
That's
to
the middle
deal with
ground,
the
isn't it?
problem. To deal with the problem, but maybe not in sort of such an inflammatory way, if at all possible.
Cool, thank you. And finally, John, who plays B. Hey, John.
Hello. Hey, I've got them working.
Nice. Yeah, quick rundown on B, please.
B is a hunter who until recently lived in the middle of the woods with her son, pictured here. And she is a hunter and is usually armed, but is also sort of the more, not quite let's talk it out, because she's not much of a talker, but is largely the one trying to go for the mostly peaceful cohabitation situation, as exemplified by the fairy cohabitation situation that is literally happening in our house, much to some of the other characters' disappointment and anger.
Cool, thank you. Okay, so the previous session ended with who everybody believes to be probably the werewolf that has been following Henry due to having followed with your new hunting dog upgrade, a scent from a bit of sort of human skin that was torn on the railings outside the house. The dog followed those to the river, and then later, following some more leads, picks up the scent on the other side of the river where a boat had been ditched, and followed it to the house of the person who has now shown up at your door. And I believe the last words he said to Henry last week were, "I'm terribly sorry, but I think I might be trying to kill you."
Yes, he'd also said, I think, that he was Jeffrey Milner. I think that was the kind of the crucial part.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think I would probably respond with Mr. Jeffrey Milner. Is that your full name?
Yes.
Good. And can I ask, have you had any injuries in the last couple of days? Are you any scratches or scars?
He looks around to see if there is anybody else around. In fact, John, was B attempting to be hidden at all? Because obviously you were behind him, so I don't know if you were...
I wasn't trying to be hidden from, like, the doorway. I was just standing behind him, basically.
Okay, he's sort of... He's kind of got his hands on his trouser leg, and then kind of looks around and sees that B is there, and says, "Yes, a small amount of damage to my leg."
Then I think perhaps you'd better come inside. Although, come to think of it, perhaps we should maybe go to the courtyard at the back of the house. That's perhaps best.
Yes, of course. Wherever you like. Could you make me an observation roll, please, Steve?
Sure. As I find my I wonder whether the time is. I might use my absolute empathy observation boost.
Yep.
Insight. That's perhaps a thing to do. So that will be observation empathy, which is 4. Observation, which is 2, plus another 4 dice because of that. One success for I don't know, 10 dice.
He seems pretty sincere and pretty almost like embarrassed. Like kind of concerned about your opinion of him. That sort of impression is what you get from him. But he follows you inside if that's where you're. Or were you going around? You'd go through the house to get to the.
I presume.
The courtyard,
I presume, unless there was another way of getting to it.
No, it's closed off. So.
Are you trying to like avoid him inviting him in some kind of vampire ward way or something?
No, I'm trying to avoid damage to the soft furnishings if he happens
Fair
to.
dues.
I
kind of figured that.
After he gets sight of Hux or
It
something.
It kind of felt like you were avoiding, like, you know. But don't say you're invited in, then the wards will be maintained. Like,
yeah, yes. If he's like Earl Grey with milk, disgusting. Boom. Does Earl Grey anyway? Yes. So Henry will be kind of backing. Yes, heading towards the courtyard in a sort of a weird, sort of not exactly sideways shuffle, but I'm trying to keep my eyes on him and hoping that everybody else will just sort of, melt out of the way, or I'll perhaps call for some Hawkins to, tea or coffee or something. Probably tea. And then yes, go to the courtyard.
if only we had that calming butterfly house.
Is anyone else following?
Nah, I'm reading my paper.
I will. Yeah. I will look to Henry, and if he's like nodding me out of the garden or whatever, then I'll give him his piece. But
oh no, I'm fine with you. You might want to. I'm not sure how Rosie will be handling this, but
that's what I'm going to find out.
Oh, okay, right.
But you did call her off the scent, didn't you? I think you gave her like the.
Yeah, because she was scratching at the door. Yeah, but it's also whether she goes angry.
Yeah.
But
is this going to be obvious that, like, for us in the park? Anyway, I'm assuming I'm just sat in the parlor somewhere as well with the others. You trying to be quite discreet, Steve, about, or is Henry trying to be quite discreet about?
I'm not trying to keep it from anybody else. I'm just kind of trying to keep the mood quiet and calm. So I will perhaps, if I see anybody on my way through, I'll perhaps mouth.
Okay, I'll follow too. Then we're just kind of quietly in the background somewhere, rather than making introductions or whatever. Maybe join up with B. Just kind of slight distance.
Peer through the window, see what happens. Sure. So yes, I guess if we're ensconced in the courtyard, well, Mr. Milner, I'm sure I really wasn't expecting I wasn't expecting to see you like this, if I'm honest.
No, I expect not. Not really sure. I slightly fear I may be going a bit mad.
Well, I suppose we have to start somewhere. Jonny, do I recognise him in his human form, like the figures from the station and elsewhere?
Yeah, I'm going to say with your observation, success. Yes, you're pretty certain that this is the person. Probably more so from when you found Rachel Brown's house than from the station, because that was very definitely like not just an almost silhouette in a group of things, whereas the one at Rachel Brown's, it was like a figure in the street. And yeah, you think that this is, you're pretty certain.
Okay. Well, I suppose the first question is how much do you know? How much do you remember? How?
I think I may have been. I'm just going to say everything, regardless of what your opinion of me may be afterwards. I believe that I may have been cursed by some kind of witch, hag, perhaps. I'm not sure if you're aware of these in folklore, I suppose. Well, the first. Did you introduce yourself to him at the door, Steve? I don't think you did.
I didn't, no, but I
Okay.
I will do.
Yeah. So he says, the first memory I have of you, Mr.
Bonneville, Henry Bonneville.
Mr. Bonneville, is that well, I awoke in some woods and saw what I believe to be you making haste away from me, with some blood on yourself, which may have been mostly yours. I was very confused by this, and so, well, I've essentially been following you to some degree since then, until I could find a way to introduce myself to try and find out what had happened then. But since then, I think there have been one or two other occasions where a similar thing may have been close to happening. I think perhaps I spotted a small amount of my blood there, which I believe, and he pulls his trouser leg up and says, maybe from this, and he's sort of bandaged this area, because obviously it's like an actual chunk that had come off, so he's sort of patched it up.
And you have a tattoo in that area, I imagine.
Yes. So I yes, on that particular occasion, I was at home, and then I found myself near the river. All very strange.
So, right. Well, I can perhaps shed some light on. Sorry, I'm presuming you know about your condition. We have been, since you've been, following me, I suppose. We have been doing some research to try to find out, well, what you might be and what threat you may offer. How to break the news that somebody is a werewolf without?
Without
I
making
don't know,
them
but I don't know,
emotional
but
and furry.
I would start with a big pause.
Oh, we did. Yeah, I'll allow it. We did a pause pun last week, but it's still relevant. So yeah. Yes. I'd like you to. I think we have a potential solution. So I'll say that up front. But yes, I believe that that you have been cursed to become a werewolf.
A werewolf?
Yes. As you say, this is somewhat new to me. The whole world of folklore has rather opened up since our first meeting. I'm still very new to this, but fortunately, I found myself at this establishment, and there is a considerable library with a fair amount of information. But yes, you are liable to change form around the full moon, and also potentially if you experience a heightened emotional state.
Right.
How to
So
say you are
that's it
taking
now,
time
then?
about- There is hope. We've just recently uncovered a potential means to break the curse. I think that is. I'm hoping we can. We don't have all of the details yet, but there is hope. There is definitely hope.
Okay.
I guess I should ask about the nature of your this. You believe you were cursed. Perhaps I should take the details of that and. Yes, what happened? How do you? I don't know. Had you done something to offend somebody, or was it simply a vindictive? Apologies, I'm now forcing you to generate backstory on the fly.
I was simply taking a walk through some woods and stumbled upon a cottage. The door opened as I looked upon it, and the figure of a woman, I think. She was cloaked in a sense. Seemed to float towards me. Perhaps they were small steps. I have a very vague memory of some utterances that I couldn't understand. And then my first interaction with you.
Well, perhaps we should, if you're able to provide the location of this this cottage, we well, at least we can note it down and warn people appropriately, or possibly possibly deal with it. Yes, I should ask again. The cure, as we understand it, does relate to your name, or your full name, or your true name, potentially. I don't know. Again, this is all rather vague. So I have to ask: have you ever? Is that your birth name? No other details that we need to be aware of.
No, that is my full name. Yes.
Excellent. Well, Mr. Jeffrey Milner, and Henry will sort of just again use the full name twice now. Nothing seems to have happened. I have a feeling that, well, we need to do some more research, and then I suppose we need to break this curse. We might well need to arrange a suitable location, circumstances, and well, potentially we might need to precipitate a transformation so that we can break the curse. But honestly, at this point, that is all I know. We need to go off and prepare. So I suppose thank you for reaching out, and it has been a weight on my mind for some time. We were, as you might suspect, trying to track you down. I'm hopeful that we can come to I'm hopeful we can resolve this problem, this curse, in a simple and conclusive way where we all benefit.
Do you think that you should bundle me off somewhere?
Potentially. Again, we don't know. We have no means of restraining your transformations, I don't believe. So anything we did would be physical in nature, I think. I mean, I suppose we could, I don't know, find a secure location and enclose you. And I would certainly prefer any of this to happen away from civilization. There's nobody else. You've just been following me. There've been no other victims, to your knowledge.
As far as I'm aware.
Yes, perhaps we should make arrangements for a secure cottage somewhere, something like that. We can perhaps do that, and I'm sure we can cover the expenses and try and make things as comfortable as possible. If that's something that you'd be willing to entertain.
Absolutely. I could collect some clothes and books and meet you back here, perhaps.
Certainly, yes. I will need to talk to my colleagues. Yes, I'm sure we can find something appropriate. Put an end to all of this.
Right. I'll be back in a couple of hours, perhaps.
Jonny, presumably B and I were waiting somewhere where we could hear what was being said, kind of, keeping watch from a short distance, and whether they'll come back through.
Pinned to the window.
Yeah, I was just unless Henry, Stevie wanted Henry to be having some of this discussion more quietly or discreetly, wherever you're hoping we wouldn't overhear.
Oh no, I'd be fine for people to hear any of it. For you people, not
Yeah,
people
just the streets. Now get the megaphone out. In that case, just before he leaves, I might just interject and to ask, excuse me, I hope you don't mind me asking, why did you come here today? Why did you knock on the door and introduce yourself to Mr. Bonneville here?
Because, well, it happened again. I don't want to hurt anybody.
But you haven't introduced yourself after the other times you've been stalking or trying to reach Mr. Bonneville.
I was going to say perhaps stalking is a little strong, but maybe not. Perhaps put yourselves in my shoes and think how long it would take you to get the courage up to introduce yourself to somebody and spin this tale.
Fair enough. You offered yourself to be bundled away somewhere. Do you have loved ones you're worried about? Other people that you're worried about hurting, other than Mr. Bonneville, of course?
No, but my concern is that now I know where he is, on a reasonably permanent basis, perhaps I should be somewhere where I don't know how to get back here.
I see. More of a permanent relocation, you meant then?
Well, hopefully temporary, if there is hope, as Mr. Bonneville has said.
Right. Yes, well, I mean, sorry, if you wanting to go and collect your things, just I'm a colleague of Mr. Bonneville, sorry, Sister Kirk.
A pleasure.
I'm going to subtly indicate for Rosie to sniff Mr. Milner. Does she have any reaction?
She doesn't growl, but she equally doesn't start sort of doing the happy pant like she was doing when Henry was feeding her.
Okay.
But you have called her off the scent, so
right. Yeah.
She's not like this is a horrible person, but but equally isn't like, this is my best friend.
Okay.
Presumably he leaves then, does he?
Yep, yeah. If everyone's if nobody else is sort of asking him anything on the way out, then yeah, he heads out.
Mozzing will wander through to get updates. Any news?
Well, he seems surprisingly regretful about the whole thing, which is a comfort, I suppose. Yes, we need to decide. We need to decide what to do now. He is content to be placed elsewhere for the time being. I suppose we need to decide whether we are ready to try to break the curse. But if we're to do that, we need to understand. We need to be confident that we have understood the process and that we're not going to end up causing, well, if we precipitate a transformation and can't deal with it, then that will end badly.
Well, from what we've read before, there was a Catholic exorcist who was a member of the society who had tested using the werewolf's true name while on it while it was transformed, which is what they believe had removed the curse. Nothing more detailed than that. Perhaps it's as simple as that. I wonder whether the exorcism that I may have a look through some more books to see if there's anything else ritualistic about exorcism and names that may be more relevant. It's some additional details. And I would certainly like to be present while we try this. I don't know whether it needs to be somebody of somebody of faith who something like that. But I'm obviously very willing to try and help. If we do collect, we ought to have some sort of physical restraints, I suppose, if we need to trigger this transformation. It'll be an extremely dangerous affair, I suppose. And we ought to be very upfront with him about possible, our safety precautions could well include. Well, we know what the alternatives are, don't we?
Yes, I hadn't explained that particular aspect.
No. But I think that ought to be made very clear before we attempt to trigger any sort of transformation, in case, well, it changes the consent of the matter quite significantly, potentially. But yes, I'll go back and see if I can find anything more about, perhaps not werewolves, but even just about exorcism and things like that. So if there was a member of the society who is an exorcist, then hopefully there are some good resources here in the library somewhere. So I'll.
Do you think your
have a look at
contacts
those.
might be able to help, or is it?
It's certainly possible. I mean, as I said, I didn't think that they were, the priest was a particular specialist in Vaesen, although obviously they were able to help me. I've not come on some sort of Vaesen crusade or anything. But perhaps they do. Perhaps there is more knowledge there. If I don't find anything, perhaps that's our alternative. If this doesn't work, then that's. If we were going to go visit my church in any case, then two birds and all that.
And potentially we don't need to. As long as, well, I would hope that we are outside of the lunar transformation window. I can't say for certain, but if we are, then all we need to do is avoid any emotional triggers, and then we have more time. So potentially we could wait until, if this Linnea Elphaclint is arriving tomorrow, perhaps we can run our plan past her.
Yes. I wonder how much Hawkins knows about this fairy was sort of trapped here by the sounds of it because of some sort of protection runes or something, or some sort of protective ritual on the doors and things that was preventing it from getting out. There might be something similar as well, just as another sort of, again, another little safety net for us that might be worth asking Hawkins, or again, if we do get that arrival tomorrow, there may be some more information higher up in society.
Yes, that seems prudent.
What about this witch that he mentioned?
Yes.
She might, I don't know, she did it. She might be able to undo it.
I suppose.
Oh, I thought you meant we were going to have to deal with the witch as well.
Well, if she's going around cursing people and turning them into werewolves, probably, yeah.
Of course, exactly. Yes, I'm glad we see eye to eye on this one. Although I have to confess, I do wonder why he was cut. There's something about it seems a little unfulfilling as a story. Why cursed? Why were you a target, Mr. Bonneville? It feels very purposeless.
Yes, there are certainly gaps in the story. I was in that particular location, that forest. I was trying to track down an escaped convict. So I suspected that they might be hiding out in the forest somewhere, but well, before I could find them, I was interrupted. But as to why this fellow was cursed, that does seem. I would hope that. I don't know. Perhaps I'm trying to read too much into the thinkings of these Vaesen, but I would hope there was some reason for it, some factor, but perhaps not. Who can say?
It is an odd story.
Did you find this convict in the end? This person you were looking for? Did that ever get resolved?
No. Given the nature of the circumstance, that one remains open. I was not in a fit state to carry on that particular.
I mean, pure conjecture, but is it possibly related? Could this witch have been putting you off the trail by sending some creature off? I don't know. I mean, who knows? I don't know what you were looking into, or what the nature of the whole situation was. But
It sounds like something a witch could do. In the immediate future, do we want to? Is it such a ridiculous plan to buy some chains and chain him up here and repeatedly hit him with a rug beater until he decides to transform?
I rather think that if Miss Alpha Clint turns up tomorrow to see such a scene, she might question our professionalism.
Well, I mean, any members of the society who have werewolf chained up in the house are likely to be doing a very effective job. We could maybe get a more effective tool for the beating, but the idea has legs, or is this just too dangerous, do we think?
well, I think I much prefer Mr. Bonneville's idea of we're letting him transform naturally when the moon comes around again, rather than trying to beat a transformation out of him.
Well, but in the meantime, he might transform and injure a dozen people.
We can keep him here. We don't need to beat him.
Right. So the problem with Mosling's idea is we have no guarantee that any chains we can get can hold him.
This is true.
The problem with
Silver
Henry's
chains?
idea would be that after he transforms, we'd still need to track him down in the middle of a forest at night.
Oh no, I was thinking that chains would also be required, or restraints of some form. But
So
if
restraints, and potentially we'll have to ask Hawkins about these other sort of
wards,
protections, wards. Yes, exactly, the wards and things that might, he might not be able to physically restrain in the sense of a chain, but if it means he can't get out of the room or the house or whatever that we keep him in, similar to the fairy, could get out.
Well, if we can get those together, Mosling's idea would be faster. I'm not saying we jump him.
No. It would be. We'd have to agree to. You know, if it goes wrong, I certainly don't want to have done this without his agreement.
No.
It was very rude and probably a bad idea.
Is speed that more important than the ethical nature of beating? Not to mention how much more dangerous it would be to get up
the
close
church
and
having a problem
start
with
beating.
this.
Excuse me?
I just think that it's an effective way of preventing any further harm, and I think that he would understand. I think he probably would be quite, amenable to the idea. He clearly doesn't like the process. The sooner we can get him through the door and get the box ticked, better.
I'd say there's nothing wrong with offering, at least. Like, what's worse, being, I don't know, whacked about a little bit and made a bit angry, or spending another entire month feeling like you're going to turn into a ravening beast at any moment?
My concern regarding the speed is that we don't have the details, the full details to break the curse. We know that their full name is required, but I had been presuming that the name of the werewolf was the same as the name of the human. Perhaps if it is not the case, then we would have made a catastrophic error.
Mm.
Well, that's why I'm not proposing jumping him when he comes back later today.
So I think we need time to check some more details.
Do you think we could send a letter to our wise woman in the north, who I'm not saying she's a witch, but
the lady in Radcliffe was.
She might have an idea.
She might be an apprentice witch, or a little witchling, because you seem pretty witchy to me. She might know something about curses and it's just
other witches.
Other witches. I mean, I don't think all witches know each other. But I think a letter could be.
That seems a
good start.
Yes.
Better than beating a man. It's not like we're planning to jail him up either. I mean, offering nice furnishings, good meals, and I think he'd have quite a comfortable time here if he was to stay for some time. I don't think it.
Would it be more comfortable, Constance, if you thought of him as a Vaesen? We'd be beating a Vaesen. Or beating the Vaesen out of him.
It rather sounds like you'd be beating the Vaesen into him, actually, if that's what you're suggesting, which I'm not terribly approving of. And I don't know where this idea has come from, that I'm incredibly in favour of violence. I think we need to deal with these Vaesen. If violence is the only means, then so be it. But that is clearly not the case here. We have an idea of a ritual here that can save this man rather than beat this man. Take no pleasure in any violence.
I'll pen a letter to Ms. Walsh.
So is the plan to keep him here or send him somewhere else?
I think somewhere else, because as we've pointed out, there's nowhere here that is particularly good. And
Jonny, would I know of any sort of suitable lodgings back in that forest, say? I mean, I guess that would be then kind of near the witch, which might be.
I have never exactly established where it is because my near London geography is terrible. But B will speak up and say that she's got an empty cottage in the middle of nowhere that she's not currently living at.
Certainly could be, yes, that could be appropriate.
Steve, does
Hmm.
Henry share the location with everyone?
Of the forest, yes. The place where, yes.
Okay. If you share that, all of you have a little bit of a moment of, that's weird. And each of your something in each of your pasts relates to around that location.
Oh no.
Is the witch a recruiter for the Apollonian Society? Is that how this works?
I'm just saying, we just talked about a witch with a cottage in the woods, and then B's just been like, "Oh, I've totally got a cottage in the woods."
I'm not a witch.
That's exactly what a witch would say.
I don't know. So where B's cottage is not there, but you may have been around there when something happened.
Wow.
Does anybody react, or does everybody kind of keep it?
so
Cool?
is this relating to our traumas?
Yes.
Cool. Mosling's fine sharing, like, oh, that's awfully similar near a road where I was attacked a few years ago by Vaesen.
A werewolf? No.
No, fairies.
Right.
It's around about that time that I started noticing these things.
First Vaesen I saw was on a hunting trip with my dad in that area. I broke my leg and something led me out.
Well, it seems like we should definitely not be going back to that set of forests then, and not trying to find B. If your cottage is somewhere up away from these woods, I think that sounds like a much more sensible option.
That is strange, though, that we all have that shared connection. That's might have to do some more research into that location later on. This is unsettling, but perhaps it explains a few things.
Do you think there might be like a hidden face in civilization or something?
Well, for all of us
They're
to.
everywhere. Everywhere seems to be some sort of hidden Vaesen civilization. We keep coming across them all over the place. I don't think it's that unusual that close to London, several people who are now in London will have been. I think
But
it's
several people who've
unusual,
met
but
on the same.
well, I suppose you could say the same about us all meeting where we did, not far out away from the house here, and the way that we came together. I don't. I'm not saying I like it. I think there's something strange there, of course, but
I do suspect that Constance is right on this.
Well, regardless, I suppose we need to press ahead with making plans.
Perhaps we could search for a new angle on this. Maybe there's more information in the library about curses than there is about werewolves, and perhaps breaking curses is something that there's a bit more to find out about.
well, I mean, as I say, I want to look at the exorcism angle and any rituals around that might be helpful. Perhaps somebody can also have a look on curses specifically.
and wards as well, protection.
Yes. Hawkins, if he's about, to call out for him.
Yeah, he appears pretty instantaneously. Yes.
I think you mentioned something to one of the others a few days ago about wards and on the doors and protections against Vaesen in the house here. Do you know much about those? What they protect against? How they're set up? How they work?
Not exactly. I believe they are inscribed into the doors I described with some kind of invisible to the naked eye paint or liquid of some description. I'm not sure. And they believed, at least, to prevent passage of certain Vaesen if the doors are kept closed. I'm afraid I don't have information on, for example, if you wanted to create new wards, I don't have that information on how to do that.
I don't suppose you know which Vaesen, or if there's sort of, for example, the wards that are already in place in the house here, whether they might protect against a werewolf.
Oh, let me think.
Or perhaps if there are some books in the library that we might be able to refer to.
I think there was an instance many years ago now, probably, well, more than I care to admit. Yes, I think that they will. Yes, I believe that they have in the past protected against a werewolf.
This seems to make
Fascinating.
sense. Well, I mean, we did find the records about a society member who dealt with a werewolf, and Mr. Bonneville, I suppose you haven't been attacked in the house itself, which makes me wonder whether actually, if for whatever reason it doesn't work out the cottage, or maybe even prior to trying the cottage, whether actually he's safest here somewhere, and we can simply keep him safe within the house, similar to this fairy example. Where it wasn't getting out and about until we opened a door.
I would imagine that
Something
the
to consider.
information does exist within the library. I assume whoever created them before must have got that information from somewhere.
Thank you, Hawkins. It's very helpful. I think I will make my way to the library then and start having a look through the books if anybody would like to join me.
A tea, perhaps,
yes, I suppose
Sister
that's...
Constance?
Sorry?
A tea, perhaps?
Oh, that would be wonderful. Thank you, Hawkins. Aren't you wonderful?
Yes, definitely adjourning to the library with tea and biscuits to. Well, yes, I think I'll be looking at looking at wards and how you might create them. I mean, unless anyway, yeah, we can, I guess, divide the topics between us. But,
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, there you go. Oh, and some biscuits, Hawkins. There you go. Tea and biscuits.
He's an interesting man. I'm going to write that letter, and then I will take Curtis.
Yeah,
So
what's
hold-
everybody looking for?
And hexes.
and how to break them, hopefully, rather than just cursing and hexing.
Well. See what I can find.
I'm going to look up anything about the geographical region of the Eastern New Forest.
Okay.
This is where, yes, all of the events coincided.
Yeah, exorcisms and rituals around that for me.
And I'll be looking up protective wards, I suppose.
Okay. Does everybody want to make learning rolls?
What is the point? 10 dice, 1 success.
Well, one success,
Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
6 dice
That's
and no
within-
successes, but I think I'm gonna push.
Okay.
Every possible
Um,
result is within the realm of possibilities, Jonny.
I'm gonna push, and I've got my dedicated talent, which means I can ignore a mental condition once per day. So I'm gonna use that to undo my push mental condition.
Does that not mean you can ignore it if you have it and are making a roll?
Oh, yeah, that might-
I think.
I think that, yeah, no, I think you're right. Okay, well, I'll get my condition and then maybe I'll use it later. Who knows? We'll find out.
Okay. So did you succeed, or have you not rolled? You've not rolled. Okay.
With
No,
4
no
dice,
success.
with
3
4 dice,
successes.
I have rolled exactly the same as Mosley.
Yeah. If I got 11 out of 10, then I'd be like, wow, that's really outside the realm of probabilities.
So what we're learning is John is just much more efficient with dice.
The system prefers small numbers of dice.
Well,
Yeah, I
I
basically just
rolled
rolled 12 dice and got nothing. So
Nice.
yeah, for sure.
Well, I rolled 9 dice and got 1 success. So
Okay, so we've got 1 success on curses and hexes, 1 on the New Forest, and 1 on creating
wards.
wards.
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry, Johnny.
Steve.
This is like yes.
No, that's okay. That's okay. Henry, I wouldn't say is confident, but thinks that he could have a go.
Right.
And
Great.
also, what I'll give you is that you think perhaps this is something that you could get your fairy friend to help with, because you could do a door and test the door. So
Yes,
actually,
I was
you have
just thinking
a
that.
system here whereby you can kind of almost perfect something with a bit of time. So you basically need candle wax, oil, lemon juice, and holy water. And then you use those to create this sigil, basically, which then, over time becomes completely invisible to the naked eye. Initially, there'll be a bit of residue, obviously, that you'll be able to see, but after a year or whatever, it'll just be completely gone. So you've got that. You have that capability. John, you've done a reasonable amount of research already in your time with the society. And you kind of come into this with this realization already, but this extra bit of research kind of compounds it to you that there are certain areas that garner more stories. Now, with the logical mind goes, oh, it's these big expanses where people could get lost in them and think they're seeing things, and it's a large unknown area, and people create stories for explanations for things, like creation myths and all this kind of stuff. So you kind of go, oh, well, maybe that's the reason why. But actually, this is one of those areas that has more so than other sections of the New Forest. This area has more stories about it. And it is also, there is a higher than average percentage of them that are bad things happening to people.
Interesting.
Because, some sort of folk and fairy stories are fun,
Like B's original one.
big-
Why did the evil thing like you, B? What did you do to deserve the
Maybe
favour
because
of a
I'm
weird
nice.
evil thing? Whatever.
Maybe B is the witch in the
What deal
cottage
did
in
you
the
make,
woods.
B? What did you sell? What did you sell? Your first child? Your soul? How did you get out of this forest
I
unscathed,
have
B?
my first child.
For now, maybe when he turns 14, he's going to be carted off to the woods. We don't know. I'm just asking questions.
Amazing.
So bad things in the forest.
Yeah. Justin.
A single success, yeah.
Yes.
I can just make things up if that's easier.
No. Okay, what you learn is that in some instances, curses are attempted and fail. Often in these stories, they are sort of heroic people or people with a very set purpose who seemingly by some sort of force of will or sort of pure spirit manage to resist these things. So possibly, what you can get from that is maybe this person was a bit aimless beforehand, or perhaps there was something that they had done that was bad, or there is no general fix, though. Different things have to be cured in different ways.
Sure, that makes sense.
But yeah, what you do learn is that resistance to them is possible. It's not a sure thing that if somebody attempts to curse somebody, it will succeed.
There was nothing I think that kind of indicated whether cursing someone to be a werewolf is a thing that is possible or not possible. So that's just that part of the story is unverified still.
Oh, yes, there is an instance of a story where that happens.
Well, there you go. Perfect. Close book. That's that then. Back on the bookshelf.
It is by a disgruntled wizard who a local man steals his dog.
according to a wizard who's a not very trustworthy resource anyway. But now there.
And so, upon finding this out and retrieving his dog, he curses this man to be a werewolf.
Is the story allegedly?
Yes, allegedly.
It's fairly fitting. You like dogs?
That's true. That is true. Well, I've got this letter, and I'm gonna get arranged for Hawkins to get that dispatched to the post office or something. I don't know how they do post these days.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, let's gather together and share findings from our study session. Turns
Absolutely nothing.
yeah. Turns out you.
There was some sort of exorcist who was part of the society, and they learned absolutely nothing about their rituals and things. This is just absolutely infuriating. I mean, why the amount of times we keep hearing all these little tidbits of information and all of these books we're looking for, and then they don't give you the actual information for the practical applications that would be incredibly useful. This is just absolutely maddening.
Well, was it more of like an biography rather than anything actually useful? I hate it when they're like that. Talking about all the great things they do, but no practical advice.
It does sort of seem, with all the books in this library, that other members of society are really bad at writing things down.
I think the issue is that we don't have a good cataloguing system.
So we.
When did the Dewey Decimal System?
This game is great for making us go, actually, when was that invented? When did this happen?
That's like 90% of what we do in this game. So it turns out you can be cursed to become a werewolf. There's a story about it, so that all checks out. But there's no real fix apart from, some individual idiosyncratic thing that you do for that curse. Apparently curses don't always work. Sometimes, someone who's pure of heart, again, I don't know how they're measuring pure of heart. Like, I don't think this is a replicated experiment that they're doing here. This is all pre-enlightenment thinking. But pure of heart or something, you might be able to get away with it. So that rules out all of us, apart from maybe Constance.
Well, I think the Spurtus situation indicates probably that, dedicating your life to good. I think there's probably something in that.
That's true.
I suppose I couldn't get Mr. Milner to join a nunnery, but yes, perhaps we'll just have to try some ritual if we can ever get things to work.
Come on, monk.
At least I had. Go on. Sorry.
I was just saying there's a herbology jokes there somewhere, but I'm not going to go into it.
I did have. I think I found some mechanism for creating these doorway wards. I'll need to start testing it. If of course we can engage the assistance of our and I will look at B of Apple. But we might have a solution that might be very useful down the line.
I'm sure they could be convinced.
Well,
I was looking up at this region that we've all mysteriously visited and seen something in. And it's weird. Like, look, and I'll sort of gesture to a map that I've managed to find and be like, this is the sort of region that we're looking at. And there are a lot of stories here. Like, compared to anywhere else in the forest, or like anywhere else. Like, it's not just people making stuff up. I think this is like, I don't know, a breeding ground of Vaesen or something. The bad news is none of them seem, well, not none of them. It's definitely not a good place to be.
I mean, it's also on a good road, and I think maybe people just travel through there a lot. That's why I was there. You know, if more people are visiting there, maybe that's why there's more stories. I wonder if that's really the story behind all of it, is the stories are where people go.
It's
Maybe not.
Well, I mean, Musling, I'm sure you're able to, I'm sure you have access to statistics and metrics for population density on roads.
Oh, God, what a boring topic. Like numbers. I suppose I could look into it. Well, no, I'd probably B's right. Now I think about it in the round. No need to do any additional research on that.
So, I mean, what do you think this means then? We've got some bigger. There's some bigger evil at work here that we need to deal with.
I wouldn't say that. I'd just maybe say if we go wandering into the woods, we need to be careful.
Ready for a big surprise? So I suggest that maybe we should look into restraints for this werewolf. Maybe we should purchase some chains, some manacles or something. Something to, we could get Hux to put a few bolts into one of the walls in the wine cellar, and it could do for now, just in case. Perhaps? No? All right. Just in case.
No, I agree, Mr. Mosling. I think it's probably a sound idea, but I suppose we ought to have some sort of. I put it to the rest of you then. Do we want to try and keep him here, or take him to your cottage?
Well, here is warded.
And we would have to make preparations at your cottage regardless. So I suppose we did host the Spurtus here. We really if this becomes a common thing, perhaps we should dedicate a room in the location for it. Maybe some upgrade at a later date might be in the cellar.
Well,
maybe.
You never know what is behind some of these doors. I've never even opened most of them.
But yes, perhaps you're right. Perhaps we should, with the knowledge that we have now of the wards and with some suitable restraints. Yes, perhaps we can keep him here whilst we sort out B's cottage.
That's why I suppose I'll write to Father Alistair and see if he knows anything about exorcisms and things. Really, it's more a Catholic sort of thing, though, isn't it? Right. Well, then again, I can see if there's any knowledge of Richard. Well, we did say we're going to go and visit. I think he seemed a little uncertain about putting these things to paper in the postal system.
We've just sent a letter through the post asking about where. I'm sure it's going to be fine. No problems at all. But yes, I can understand.
I'm sure that there's all kind of lunacy sent through the postal system.
I'm just saying that Father Alistair didn't seem keen to do so. You do as you will, Mr. Mosling. But I think if we're going to try that, if there's nothing useful here in this library, then, well, I suppose we've got a bit of time. If we're waiting for the next full moon, we might. I suppose we were going to head there anyway. It's not. Well.
We also need to go up to Hull at some point. Is the New Forest on the way? Well, could it be on the way? If we're ambitious.
Well,
Fairy pathways,
I-
maybe.
I'm a little. I don't quite know how to put this. I'm feeling a little more reticent about going to visit, given it's a little. It's not right on the. It's not like it's in the woods or anything, but it's near enough that it's uncomfortable.
You're the church we
The
were due to
church
visit.
where I lived at, yes.
Oh,
Suddenly not all that keen to be going back, but it also feels like we really need to. A little conflicted.
He's probably wrong overall, so I wouldn't worry about it too much.
Charming.
Well, probably. I don't trust much that's in these books until we've, that's why we didn't just go into those sewers without a healthy dose of explosives to make sure everything was everything was going to be fine.
I don't suggest we turn up to the church with a armful of explosives, for the record, but it's like I say, it's not right in the middle of the woods or anything. We can certainly skirt around. We don't need to. It's avoidable. It's just a little close for comfort.
I don't suppose anyone in your church, such as your father, Alistair, would maybe keep a track of local heathens and witches, would they?
Well, this is why we were going to go and visit, was to talk about all of these sorts of things. Like I say, apart from helping me in a very difficult period of time, I had no knowledge that they were of any other kind of involvement with Vaesen and more supernatural sort of events. So if there is, it's not something that I can speak to. It's not something I was involved with, something I was aware of. I frankly never really, I didn't really believe in them. Obviously everybody's heard stories here and there, but they're just fairy tales, and it's there's nothing. Didn't think it was anything really tangible in the world until it's it's possible. I suppose it's possible. But I'm also a little conscious that we're maybe, gearing up to go and have all these questions, expecting there to be, all these answers given, like it's, the perfect answer to all of our outstanding queries. But like I say, I not come from Vaesen College learning all about these things. That's not what it was. It was, for all I knew, really just a normal church in a normal little town.
Could we invite, if we don't want to go there, is it possible to invite anyone to come to visit us, to host them, perhaps pay for their travel expenses, let them do a little pilgrimage around, and in the meantime we can ask them a few questions,
That's actually a very good idea. Yes, I could write and see if there's anybody who could come to visit us, perhaps.
Well, is there a specific person that you need to talk to? I'm not sure what the inner workings of this nunnery are.
Well, I mean, it's a church, really. Yeah, I suppose so. Father Alistair was the priest who'd helped me and really brought me into the faith, and I suppose I assumed that he would be the most relevant person to speak to. But of course, there's these outstanding questions about Sister Josephine as well, which I suppose I suppose really we'd be looking to ask Father Alistair about. But it might be that there's somebody else might be more involved in some of the other the works with the nuns, or there might be some sort of record to keep. I honestly don't know. I would probably look to invite Father Alistair, but I'm also not sure if he would travel. Well, we're not too far, I suppose. I suppose we can ask. We can certainly ask.
It does sound more like that we might be able to get more done by going there. but nothing.
Well, yes, it seems
But
we have a
we've
number
got
of
a guest arriving tomorrow.
Hmm.
and,
Probably best
well,
be here to greet them.
yes,
Hmm.
and a guest arriving today as well.
Right.
I'll,
Well,
I'll write and see. I'll write and ask, and if he's willing to come to visit, wonderful. If not, then I suppose we'll have to go. But it won't be tonight. It may not be tomorrow.
Oh, understandably. Yes, I'll step out and see if what I can do about acquiring chains.
I might sort of
Take Hux with you.
Yes, no, obviously.
Well, I was just thinking perhaps there might be certain hospitals where restraints of this nature are used. Perhaps they would be more suitable than.
Perhaps. Well, that is a
I mean,
terrifying thought.
Well, I've helped in a few of the hospitals in London. I can go with you, Miss Bonneville. Unfortunately, there are, of course, certain cases where people do need to be restrained. So yes, there may be something there.
John, B thinks about the shop where you got the harpoon and stuff.
Yeah, like what? Hux would know where that is, so
Yeah.
Hux could assist Mosling in where to acquire weird stuff.
Yeah, if Hux also hasn't had that realization, then I'll nudge him and say, the whaling
I'm
shop.
sure Sam's reaction would be like, "Yeah, no, I've already thought about it." Like, way ahead of you. I was going there anyway tonight to get something.
I was going to get some more dynamite.
Harpoon gun.
I'll stay here and help Hawkins prepare. I don't know. We'll see if there's somewhere in a cellar. I'll see if I can get a pitten or something driven into a wall, somewhere to secure the chains. And Hawkins can set up a bed, I guess. We don't want him sleeping on concrete all the time.
And I suppose I need to start practicing this. These wards.
I thought you were going to say the name. Make sure you get the name right.
Well, we know that there are wards on many of the doors already. Perhaps we don't need to test it.
Yes, I'm not sure we know which doors though.
I think Hawkins said to you that the exterior doors and the bedroom doors.
Right, but probably not like a cellar door or something.
So he said there may be others, but he said definitely those. Obviously, you're reasonably certain that the weapons corridor was also warded. I think the implication was that important doors that you would want protecting specifically would probably be warded. But yes, a door to a cellar that would theoretically house unimportant things may not be.
Can we use the fairy as like a canary to...
I was going to say if I could rope Apple in and ask Hawkins if there's any old empty rooms that used to contain something important when the building was built. Yeah, if there's any way of knowing that.
We know that Mosling's not using his bedroom at the moment. So.
That's true.
That's true.
Or there could be a spare bedroom.
Yeah. Although I don't know if like any of the walls in my bedroom are load bearing.
Sure.
Yeah,
Sure.
I was thinking of trying to encase him in somewhere stone.
That's probably
partly to drive the chains and partly so he doesn't like Kool-Aid man through the wall.
Yeah.
Just might maybe pulls a foundation down or something and it comes knocking over.
There's the whole sound aspect as well.
Yeah.
I mean, I think there is a good defense for doing this somewhere else, but never mind.
We cannot build a soundproof dungeon with chains and restraints.
That is absolutely incorrect because I'm pretty sure it is one of the fucking.
It is one of the upgrades. It is one of the upgrades.
I know it totally is, but
and also don't worry. If we did that, we wouldn't tell Constance. Like that would not be part of the procedure. Anyway, yeah, Mosling's heading out as Mike, Yeah.
Okay, so you're dealing with the restraints aspect.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I have the money to buy whatever restraints that we need.
I'll maybe suggest if you do want to still go to the hospitals, Bonneville, that I'll maybe like write a letter or something to take with you, like with a, Sister Constance is asking sort of thing. But otherwise might stay home and write a letter to Father Alistair,
Sure.
inviting him to come visit here if he can instead.
Your police contact might have I don't know, spare manacles or something, because they didn't just have like the flimsy handcuffs back then. They had the proper
Massive, yeah.
the chains and the forged iron and
Oh.
stuff.
I've only just met him. Well, I haven't only just met him.
No,
Well, that
But-
is a thought, Mr. Bonneville. Didn't you speak to the constable about investigating Mr. Milner?
I did mention his name, but when they had no information, I told them not to. It wasn't something that they should follow up. But obviously, yes, perhaps it would be worthwhile me confiding. That does raise awkward questions there.
Perhaps it's just it was a misunderstanding that's been resolved or something. The matter's been put to bed. It doesn't. I'm sure the police will be happy to know some banal instances no longer. It's some mundane thing that's all sorted.
you can tell him the truth. He was a prospective client who was unsure about engaging your services.
I suppose. Very well.
Just say he's a weirdo. London's got loads of them. I can't say that because I'm not here.
Just walking down the street like that guy was such a weirdo.
Yeah, pretty much.
Right. So where are we at then? Bees checking locations, and I guess if you're going for a stone room that needs a ward, then I'll be preparing wards and practicing doing them.
Yeah. So are you cajoling Apple into helping, John?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. You knocking on the door?
Yes. I will have an offering of a pear.
Okay. Whatever knock you do, they do the same knock back, as is the standard.
I knew you were going to make that joke, Justin. I put the pear down in front of the door and say, would you be able to help me again?
The door opens a little.
We could turn it into some kind of a game. I'm looking for strong rooms that you can't go through the door on.
A hand reaches out and slowly picks up the pear and takes it in. And then there's like a whoosh of air as you presume Apple has torn out, and you hear doors start opening and closing, slamming all through the house at great speed.
Amazing. I love it.
I'm so glad Mosling's not here.
And
He's not happy about this.
and Apple appears sort of next to your foot, almost out of nowhere. And B's wearing trousers, right? Like as opposed to another form of lower wear, I would imagine.
I don't know. Probably a skirt. Like
Okay.
a thick wool skirt.
Long,
Yes.
Okay, that's fine. Just so basically, Apple sort of tugs and pulls you in one direction, and you. So the current layout of the house, I keep saying I'm going to make a map and I haven't done it yet, but as you go in front of you are the stairs to go upstairs, and sort of the bedrooms are along that upper colonnade or whatever you would call it, and then the sort of kitchen is on the left, and then a further down left-hand corridor, the weapons corridor is down there, and therefore Apple's cupboard. So where you get taken is to the right-hand lower wing, if you will. And down there is a door that is slightly ajar, quite far down, and they sort of push the door open more, and you can see that there are stairs going down. And even the creak of the door as it opens, you hear sort of not quite an echo, but that slight reverberation that implies to you that there's a stone floor down there rather than like a wooden floor. And Apple's just looking at you and biting the pear, which is basically as big as their head.
That's very good work. Thank you.
And they disappear. And you hear the clunk of the pear sort of dropping to the floor, or what's left of it, partway back to the room.
I will need to teach them a lesson about littering indoors at some point. But for now, I will go down, make sure that the room is up to spec, and then
there's a bunch of junk, like sort of boxes, crates, and stuff like that around. But there's not. There is a small like grate kind of window thing, and you can see that it's looking out into the back courtyard, so not directly out to a street or anything like that. And there's definitely no way that Jeffrey Milner, or if he becomes larger as the werewolf, could get through it. It's almost like a breeze block kind of size.
Yeah.
One of the breeze blocks is missing and has this greater. So yeah, you think this room could certainly be used.
Fantastic. In that case, I will go find Hawkins to help me set it up.
Cool. Steve, are you also getting Henry to do the... Oh no, it's already warded, so you don't need to.
Okay.
Yeah, it's fine.
Did you want to ward a door?
If there's one that's warded and works, then no, I'm fine. I mean, I'll practice later on. I'm fine not putting the all of our lives in the.
You can ward the manacles.
Well, if you wanted to practice, because this is a door down a corridor that has its own door, right? Was that? Yeah.
Oh,
So
okay. Well, then I'll start.
Door.
Yes. Okay, I'll give that a go. Yes.
As like a maybe safety net if it works. Yeah. Hopefully, we won't need it, but.
Cool. And what was Constance doing, Inga?
I was going to write to Father Alistair to ask if he would maybe visit us instead. Just like kind of high level to say, might be difficult to visit soon. However, there are some important questions we were hoping to speak about. I wonder whether you, inviting you if you're able to come and visit us for a few days here at Rose House with the address, blah, blah. If not, I'll let you know when we're able to visit you. But hoping to speak with you soon, sort of. The gist of it.
Cool.
And I'll
then-
provide Henry with some holy water to test out his marks.
Yeah. Perfect. And then Mosling and Hux are going to the
Dodgy shop.
yeah, I was trying to think of a term, but that'll do. So
Seymour Dibbler's
Boutique
Bed
is still
in
Yeah.
repute.
so if you walk in first, the guy says, good morning, sir," and then he sees Hux and goes, "Oh, right."
I don't know if this is the place, Hugs.
Well, that depends what you're looking for, sir, and how much you're willing to pay.
Well, I'll have you know that I've recently come into a small amount of money. However
right?
much something cost, it almost would, there could be almost no price that would be too high. I'm looking to restrain a large man, a prize fighter, a serious, strongman. Lifts, the kind of man that you'd see lifting weights at a circus. He's, to be honest, he owes me money, and me and Hux are going to sort this out. So something that would be really sturdy.
Right. You don't want to harpoon him, though.
No, I want him to live long enough to know who he's messed with.
But what get attached to the harpoons are strong enough to hold on to something, right?
I guess.
So perhaps some of these replacement harpoon ropes, and he pulls, and they're like sort of this thick, they're big.
Yeah. Yes, these do look good, as long as they can be attached to something that can go around the wrists of a large man, or whatever. Hux might know some way of splicing it all together.
I might have some some barrel chains.
Sure. Add them to the list.
He sort of goes to the bit that Hux would know is where the bad stuff is kept, and you hear this sort of pulling of chain on ground, sort of raveling, and he comes back through, sort of weighted down by this chain that he has, and plonks it on the floor rather than on the glass counter.
Good.
Any use?
Sure. Well, if they're not, I can always return them. I don't say that. I don't need an answer to this statement. What does Hux think? Does Hux think we can jury rig this into something that will restrain a person, or are there any missing elements? I'm relying on him for. Hux, you've been forcibly detained a number of times. Does this look like the kind of thing that they have in jailhouses, or I don't know, when the man you owe money to ties you up in a warehouse or something?
Between you reckon that the links are strong, but you could probably, with a group effort, sort of prise one and seal it. So, like, wrap it around and then seal it back to another one to create,
sure,
kind of a manacle.
Well, you're the technical expert, Hux. If you think it's doable, then
cool. You trade money and head out. You do when he tells you an amount, you think he's basically told you that these are like non-item chains, almost like they came wrapping up whatever came. so he's but then he's charging you for them. Which you like.
Man has to make a living.
Yeah, that's fine.
And it pays to keep them in the good books.
Cool. So yes, you take all this stuff back. At least one of you. In fact,
like a roll?
why don't you all make vigilance rolls for me, please?
All of
when
us.
You're back at the home, yeah.
Excellent.
That journalist's going to have all sorts of stuff to write about.
He's going after the landlord, isn't he? Did I not give him the landlord's name?
Yes, I think you did.
Oh no, you did.
You mentioned Milner. You did mention.
You did mention.
Or did I mention Mark Graham? Because I don't think we knew Milner's name.
Oh, we knew Milner's name. I'm pretty certain, having listened back today.
Did we?
It was
Because
just
I
Milner,
thought we knew
not-
Graham's name, but not Milner's.
We just knew Mr. Milner and we knew Mark Graham, so we didn't know the first name for Milner. No successes for me.
Vigilance, 8 dice.
Oh wait, sorry. Is it a vigilance for everyone?
Yes, please.
Ooh.
Oh, I got 0 successes, by the way.
Oh my god. Well, I got 0 successes. Is it the sort of thing that we would know we'd probably want to push? Or if it's just like a no, then no successes for me.
No
It's
success.
a passive thing, really. So nobody succeeded?
No.
Okay.
So that was no successes out of how many dice? That was quite a lot of dice. Never mind.
5 for me.
8. It's fine.
5.
Okay.
It's fine.
I'm going to make a dice roll. 2. John, B is you're all busy people, but suddenly you realise that about 3 hours has passed since Milner left.
Oh no.
Maybe he's just packing a lot of stuff.
Says Mosley.
That seems unlikely.
He's fled, hasn't he? Either that or he's turned into a werewolf and he's eating people.
Or someone's got him.
I don't think he would have fled if he didn't seem like the fleeing type. Not that I saw much of him, but he came here, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. Perhaps we should get Rosie and start looking around again.
Yeah, that seems like a good idea.
I knew it was going too well.
All of this for nothing. Tubbs James.
Well, perhaps at least you can be preparing the room in case hopefully we can find him.
Right, I'll grab Rosie and my coat.
I'll grab the gun with 4 silver bullets and come with you.
And I will, if I haven't already, I will grab a silver knife from the weapons corridor.
I'll come as well in case in case we can try before bullets are flying.
Well, I'll obviously come with my camera for no reason.
Okay. Have you got a plan on where to go first?
The house?
I was going to go to the house to pick up a scent.
Okay. You get to the sort of little side street that his house was on, and you see the sort of the dockmaster guy, Jerry, is lying on the ground, and Milner's door is open, and you see Jerry sort of moving a little and sort of trying to right himself. and he kind of flops onto his back and is now facing you. And he says, what's a bloody wolf doing here? And we'll leave it there.
Jerry wasn't bitten, was he?
Should find
We'll
out.
just have to find out.
Did he get him emotional by going and asking for money again or something?
I'm sure. That does sound like maybe what happened.
My God.
I always put them in the dungeon straight away.
Well,
We
note
have a
for the
dungeon.
future.
We know for the future. Never trust anyone with anything. Beat it out of them.
Turn the dungeon into the first meeting room, the client meeting room. Come downstairs, through here, right? Sit, lock the door.
Works well in my other game.
Cool. Thanks, everybody. And thanks, everybody that's watched. If you have any questions or comments, put them in the chat. Please come back on Wednesday for Simba Room and Thursday for the finale of Cincinnati Chronicles. Let's do XP.
Whilst we're waiting, it's probably worth pointing out that Mythic Britain and Ireland has recently won some Ennies.
Yeah.
And those were for interior art. Best setting, I think. I had it written down somewhere.
Like that, for example.
And
What's
best
that of?
product.
London is the best place to do anything.
Yeah, best interior art, best setting, and product of the year.
Yeah, well done.
Nice.
So
Okay.
yeah, these chains.
Did you participate in the session? One. Did you confront any Vaesen? No, I don't think so. Did you identify a previously unknown Vaesen? No, not really. Were you affected by your dark secret? I'll let you all answer that one yourselves, because some people's traumas are linked and some aren't. So I'll let you judge that on your own merit. Did you take risks to protect other people? I don't think anybody did. Have you learned anything?
We've learned stuff, certainly.
I mean, Henry went into a private conversation with someone who's trying to kill him. If that's not a risk,
That's
I
true.
don't know what is.
Someone who thinks
Protect
they
other
might be
people.
trying to kill him, and they're very sorry about it.
It was a
That's
risk.
quiet, man.
It was a risk.
I mean,
Was it
I
to
would say
protect
the
other
fact.
people, though, right? That's
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
It certainly wasn't to protect himself.
No.
Totally up to you, Steve. I'm happy either way. You didn't develop anything in the headquarters, and I don't think anybody performed an extraordinary action. So 2 as standard, an extra 1 if your dark secret has been, hinted to in any way.
Yeah, I would say we've failed to protect other people, given that Jerry has been nommed.
Well, it doesn't. Success and failure is not what the XP point depends upon.
Oh, okay.
It's true. Cool. Before I forget, John, because sometimes I forget, do we have any thanks for follows or subs or anything like that?
We do not, I think.
Okay.
Let me double check my maths. 1, 2, 3, 4. No, we don't. They were all thanked last
Cool.
time.
Cool. Any questions or comments from the chat?
42. Has the group considered that the dice might not be the problem?
Is this some sort of comment on our rolling technique, on just generally being cursed, or like I don't know what? It's
Yeah, you
It's-
tell him.
It's
Oh
Mike,
my
isn't
God.
it? It's Mike in the Wednesday crew who's not good at rolling dice, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, he's fine at rolling them.
I mean, he
rolling them
hasn't injured
successfully.
himself doing it.
Yeah.
Wait, maybe we need to invite Mike to join us for Vaesen, because we've had it before in Simba Room where Mike isn't there and then everyone else's dice rolls suffer. So I think he sort of acts as like a sponge to
Oh, okay.
suck up all the bad rolling
As
luck.
sponge.
That's
yeah.
a good idea. Yeah.
I think in this case,
Yeah.
yes, we did fall into a bit of a trap of making detailed plans. That's always a bad start. If you're making
Yeah.
detailed plans, you've missed something.
My plan was very
get-
simple.
Beat the werewolf.
I mean, it kind of sounded from the story you told the shopkeeper that you hadn't entirely abandoned that plan.
I needed something that would fit the plan, you know. And like what, like as much as the Twitch commenters, I can see you, you know, seem to think that, you know, I'm going to get some kind of trouble for pretending to abduct somebody. You can't get in trouble for pretending to abduct anyone. They don't exist. What are they going to do? Are they going to come around and be like, oh, someone's gone missing? I'm like, no, they haven't, because they don't exist.
I mean,
We're looking for a strong man that's traveling with a circus, like who you allegedly. Well, no one can find him, so you must have been you. I'm like, well, he never existed, did he?
Yes, but then
What?
when Mr. Milner disappears, and a number of us have been asking about Mr. Milner, you know,
Then we'll get our copper
There's
mates
gonna
and
be-
fucking fix it, won't
Oh,
we?
Johnny's going to
yeah,
roll a
sure.
complication at our next development thing, and it's going to be that some strongman from a circus goes missing, and then you're the top suspect. We've already got a reporter who's on our backs saying that we're murdering
Oh
people,
my
and then you go
God.
around getting murder equipment for your murder dungeon. Like, it's very suspicious.
I mean, maybe like it's not like they can ask the strongman, "Excuse me, have you gone missing?" Because he's not there, but he wouldn't be there in either situation because you've kidnapped and murdered him.
It's true.
That's
Look, I think we can
evident.
explain it just by saying it's where we put Hux when he's had too much to drink.
Yeah, well, opportunity's missed now, isn't it?
That's true. That's
You're on
true.
a watch list, and the moment's
I think
passed.
the Victorian watch list, which is just like, not entirely sure what that is, but we'll go with it. Torchwood's after me.
It's
Yeah, well,
Bradley's
what's the
notepad.
secret society that investigates Vaesen incidents? Like, who knows what's out
Yeah.
there? The truth is out
Watches
there,
that watches, you know? Like,
Yeah, a comment from Inga saying Mosling is definitely going on a watch list.
Completely, yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
And I've got a comment from me saying we've got a spare bed in our chapel.
I kind of
True.
was thinking that actually at one point, where I was just like, well, we can.
no, we
But I
can't
was like,
always
I
have
don't
guests
know. I
in
don't
the
know how good
chapel.
I feel. I don't know how good I feel about the chapel being used as like a dungeon. Like, that's just not okay. That's not right.
Sorry, was it not used as a dungeon last time? Like, I'm pretty sure it was. Yeah, no,
No,
but-
the
well,
doors-
yeah,
Constance was
well,
Constance was very specific. She did not want the doors locked and things like that. That it was very much a by invitation kind of situation.
it was like a Swedish style prison.
To be fair, we didn't tell Constance that we were putting nightly watches on the doors. Either.
Exactly. Come
Yeah,
on.
exactly. That Constance was not involved in any of that.
Anyway, yeah. What was I going to say? Nothing important. I'm going to take deceptive as a talent because I was going to do it before, but I'm going to do it now because you know, Mosling just likes lying too much.
This is becoming apparent. Yes,
He can't help himself.
but
I'm
your
not sure
medicine
how much
skill
I
might.
trust your books now. All of this stuff about all these roads and things. Like, who knows what's true? Who knows where those roads really lead now?
Roads that don't even
Well-
exist.
And it's not like there's any way to verify that information.
Yeah.
Roads are a fabrication by Big Moslem Forcemark.
Yeah.
Wow.
Cool. Well, thank you, everybody. And we will be back next week to see about an English werewolf in London. And please come join us on the Discord to chat to us and keep up to date with all the events and stuff. And also our social media is below, and our YouTube and Patreon. And Simbroom on Wednesday. Final episode of Cincinnati Chronicles on Thursday. And then we're back next Monday. So see you then.